Hello, my name is Paul Buckley, and I'd like to welcome you to a second part of a series of informational shows that the Seekonk Board of Assessors are doing to better inform the town residents of what the Assessor Department in Town Hall does and how it operates within town government to work for you. These presentations will be posted on Channel 9 and will be also available sometime on the town website in the near future. Remember, you can always call the Assessor Department with questions at 508-336-2980 or visit our website currently at www.seekonkinfo.com. The information in this program was gathered with input from the Department of Revenue, the Division of Local Services, and the Seekonk's Assessor's Office. Tonight's show will focus on the Seekonk's Assessor's website and how to navigate through it. Accompanying me this evening are Junior Clerk Karen Springer and Assistant Assessor Lydia Cadero. Thanks for coming, girls. And with that, let's continue on with our second presentation. Seekonk Board of Assessors. Make the Seekonk Assessor website work for you. Next slide, please. As you can see, the website is http csc-ma.us/Seekonk. This website can be found on seekonk.info. It's the Assessor's consortium site where we have a lot of information, more detailed information than the Seekonk info site. The information on making tax payments, tax rates for the current fiscal year, and links to real estate lot maps, real property parcel information can be found here. Next slide, please. And as you can see, the first page shows the Seekonk Board of Assessors, the members, the full-time assessor, the assistant assessor, the clerks, which we went through the previous show, the telephone numbers, the office hours, the tax rates, and at this time the tax rates were for FY 2009. At the timing of this show right now, the residential rate went up to $10.58. The commercial rate is now $21.59, and the personal property tax is $21.48. And as you can see, nice little thing there saying our office is always open. And we'll just take it on to the next slide. The real estate lot maps. To see these, you will have to click on the real estate lot maps, which is right over here, highlight down there. And you'll also need Acrobat Reader to view this. Next slide, please. And Karen, I believe this is where you're jumping in.
Okay. Here you would click on the parcel that you're interested in looking at. For example, the 26, and you click on that. And on the next slide, it should show you where that map is. You can zoom in. You can click the plus button at the top and zoom in. You can zoom out. You can pan around with the little hand. You can also search for a street in the find or the binocular section, and it will come up highlighted. And then you can click on that. Next slide, I guess. Okay, and this is what it looks like when it's all blown up, and these are your parcels, parcel numbers. So when you go to look up something, you would need the map number and the parcel number.
And right here where Cherry Drive is
that's highlighted.
What's highlighted.
Yeah. Okay, and then after that, if you want to click on the public access to real property parcel information, it will take you to more information about the property you're looking at. Okay, and you'd want to put in a street number and a street name. Don't put street or Ave because it just doesn't work.
Just a street name.
Yeah, street name.
Don't put an extension in, like street,
right, no
Ave,
extensions.
Okay.
You can just put the 3 letters of the name of the street to start, and it should work that way.
All right.
And then you can find the parcel, and then we'll bring up the parcel ID. Can I do this?
Yeah.
This will be the map 25. Lot is 153. That's the address. And if you click on the parcel ID, that should bring you to...
Next slide. To my house.
This is more of a summary, which would show the location. The owner's name is not available on the website. You would have to contact the assessor's office for that. It gives you the current and previous year assessments, right here. Market land value, the latest sale. Next slide. If you click on the residence side over here, it will bring up anything to do with style, exterior, what it's made of, heat type, heat fuel, things of that nature. And the next slide, if you click on like detached structure, that will show you if there's a shed, the square footage. It could be a garage, pool, a deck, patio, cabana, and so forth. And then you can click on the Adobe, the property, what is that?
Property record card. You need, yeah, you'll need
The PDF
the
file.
PDF file, right.
There you go.
Right.
And that will bring you to the full field card,
Right.
which will further describe on the next slide. There you go. And that's what we call the property record card or the field card, which will show you all kinds of information. Sometimes there'll be a sketch. And of course, the owner's name won't be available online.
Let me ask a question. If someone were to look at this, check this out, look it up, and they find that the drawing isn't what they have there, and maybe the picture doesn't look right, should they be calling the assessor's office to get that updated?
Well, they do.
They do.
And sometimes we have to go out and take another picture. They're not updated because there's so many properties in town. It's hard to keep them updated.
It's up to the people to look up their information, seeing what they're being taxed on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you have, for example, the square footage on this one is 1104.
Mm-hmm.
If the dimensions in the back were 40 feet, and we have, you know, the person's out there and they're measuring it, and they're saying, well, my house is only 30, and we're taxing them as 40. It's up to them to call us, so
Right.
we can go out there right away.
Right.
Photos, the photos just updated me about 3 years ago, and they were all done on a floppy disk at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So you put them into the system, you miss one house, you're going to miss up that whole neighborhood. So it has happened. We've gone out there right away. We've corrected the whole neighborhood. But it's up, again, it's up to the people to let us know
Okay.
the basement square footage, the bathroom counts, you know, detached structures. A lot of people don't realize they have a shed that's, you know, they have intentions of knocking it down. They knock it down, and they think that we automatically
Yeah, you know about it.
Right, we need to know of any changes or any discrepancies.
Okay.
Right.
Good information. Good information. Next slide.
Just-
This is when somebody wants to come to the office and they want to do some comps. This is a great source, especially at the beginning of the year when people file for abatements. One of the first things we do, we have them. We'll walk through the comps, show them how to do it. This has been updated on a daily basis. We're tied in with the Department of Revenue. They have something wrong with their server right now, but if you go on to the town hall, this is live. If they want to do a comp with a 101 are regular single-family houses, a ranch, a colonial. And if they want to see valid sales only, they'll click on the valid sales. You can do the sort by house style, square footage, lot size, and you can do it from ascending, descending. And, you know, you can also do the vacant lands, condos, whichever, and here you see the 4 highlighted. There's all of them. That goes 102s, 103s, 5s, 9s. The whole town, the whole neighborhood codes are all in there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is a great, great source.
You want to
Okay.
make sure you put in the
Yeah.
dates.
The dates.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
In
front.
in the format.
Right.
I think it goes as far back as 1990.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Next slide, please. And this is where you'll see it. Once you click the sort and find, it'll give you the square footage, the street name, sale price. And like I said, it goes as far back as I know, 1990. Get the finished areas. Now, a lot of people come in, they're like, well, how come I have a ranch and my house is worth $300,000 versus my neighbor's, and my neighbor's is worth $280, and they're wondering where's the 20,000 square feet. Well, one of the things we tell them to go look at is the finished area, the lot size, the grade and condition of the house is also very important. Bathroom counts, fireplace, central air, and any detached structures.
Yeah, that's going to make a big difference.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Yep. To make tax payments. As you can see here on this part of the slide, you can click here to make tax payments to the collector's office, correct? That, assessors do not have anything to do with that part, but we made that available for you folks out there. Okay, next slide, please. General assessing FAQs. If you have, you're looking to find out what's going on, and you have a bunch of questions, this is a good area to click on. Next, please. And as you can see here, the FAQs minus down to real estate, how assessments are determined, exemption FAQs, exemption forms, abatement information, motor vehicle excise and abatements, and motor vehicle FAQs. Just a note that the dates included in the FAQs are for example only, but all laws apply and they have not changed. Next slide, please. Frequently asked questions. There's a couple on here we were going to talk about. Which one were they? When do I file for an overvaluation abatement?
An abatement is when you receive your tax bill in hand, look at the value, tax rate's out of your control, look at the value, you have until February 1st to file for the abatement.
Okay.
That's the deadline. If it shows up in the office February 2nd, I'm sorry, we can't do anything.
So it'll be your last tax bill for,
When you get your actual tax bill, that's going to be sent out in the near future.
Okay. What was the other one we were going to talk about?
yeah, okay.
Well, I think we
Click
had,
on 'em.
how do I change my mailing address for tax billing? That was one of the ones we were going to talk about.
We can't do that over the phone. We need something from the homeowner, something in writing so we can keep on file. You know, there's been cases that, you know, my husband and I could be divorced and he wants to mail my tax bill somewhere else and he's no longer on the title.
Right.
So
right.
that can't be done. We need something from the homeowner and put it on file.
Okay. So yeah, you know, if any of these relate to you, you click on them and hopefully the answer will suffice for you. Next slide, please. How are assessments determined? This is a good little piece of information. Assessments for residential properties are typically based on the market approach to value. This approach incorporates a statistical analysis of property sales to determine market values as of January 1st of the year preceding the revaluation year. Going down, assessments for office, retail, apartment, and industrial properties are typically derived using the income and cost approaches to value. Under the income approach, fair cash value is derived from the property's ability to generate income. The assessors examine the rents generated by office, apartment, retail, and other commercial buildings, subtract operating expenses to achieve a net income, then divide net income by an appropriate capitalization rate in order to derive a market value for each parcel of commercial property. The cost approach measures the estimated cost of replacing or reproducing the buildings and improvements on a property, less any depreciation, plus the value of the land on which the building stands. Assessed values vary from neighborhood to neighborhood and from property type to property type. Next slide, please. Lydia, and the exemptions?
Okay, well, I'll start off with the first one. 37A is a blind exemption. That's a $500 exemption. You must be declared legally blind as of July 1st of the tax year, and you must get a certificate from the blind each year. A lot of people wonder why, but you know, there's been a lot of you know, updated in the medical field that you can, you know, not needing to be blind, you know, God forbid, but you need to have that certificate each year. The next one would be the 41C, which is the elderly exemption. You must live in Seekonk for 5 years and live within Mass for at least 10. You must be the age of 65 as of July 1st. Your assets, if you're single, your assets cannot exceed no more than $40,000, and that includes any stocks, savings, checking, IRAs, any sort of savings cannot exceed over 40. And if you're married, it's 50. Your income, any sort of income coming in, rents, cannot exceed, again, for a single, 20,000. Married is 30. 18, which is a hardship, There is no age requirement for this, but you must also be infirmed, impoverished, and in order to qualify, but you'd have to have all the three in order to qualify. We would like your monthly expenses on everything, and your monthly income. There is an 8% tax rate, I'm sorry, 8% interest rate, and it's used towards the balance. The Board of Assessors grant the amount, and there is a lien held on the property. The next one is a 17D, which is a $175 exemption. This is for a widowers, or 70 or older. Assets cannot exceed over $40,000. The income is not a factor for this exemption. The 41A is a tax deferral. You must be the age of 65 of age. Your income cannot also exceed over $20,000. There is a lien recorded by the town, and there is an 8% interest rate to be used. The 22, the paraplegic exemption, this is a total exemption for a wartime veteran, and there is a letter that is asked, and it's only a one-time letter from the Veterans Administration telling us that you are fully exempt. There's too many to mention, but I did have another 5 that the town has adopted, which is a 22 small a. It's a 10% service-related disability, and this exemption is $400. It's a Purple Heart or a Gold Star of mothers and fathers. There is also a 22B, which is a veteran who has lost either both legs or arms, and that's $1,250. There's also a 22E. This exemption is available for veterans who suffered total disability in the line of duty. This is a $1,000 exemption. A letter from the veterans agent also is needed as of July 1st. There's also a 22A, is another exemption which is offered to veterans which have loss of both, has a loss of one eye, one leg, one arm, one hand. It's $750. There is also a 42, a straight 42. It's a surviving spouse of a firefighter, a police officer which was killed in the line of duty. That's a full exemption. There's too many exemptions to go on. We have more in the office, and a lot of people don't realize how many we have. It's up to the people to call us and we can't be knocking at people's
Right,
doors
I was
and
just
let them
going
know.
to bring that up. Yeah.
And the majority of, like the 22B, the 22E, it's word of mouth.
Mhm.
And we, all 4 of us at the office, we help. It's people get turned off. They see all the, what do I need? But where am I going to get this? We'll help you through it. We can't be calling the veterans agent, the Veterans Administration for you. You have to do some legwork.
They're going to have to do some of the work
Yeah,
themselves.
we can bring in the proper
Direct
paper,
them to
and
the-
we'll
right.
tell you which one you'll
Yeah.
fall better in which category, and we'll tell them. And we'll fill out as best as we can.
Hopefully in the near future, this website will be updated, and I'm going to try to get as many of these
Right.
up there.
Because if they click now, I don't know if it's a 37A. Once they click under it, they'll give them some amounts, but those have been changed.
Right.
The 41A, 41C, for example, at one time, I think it was 2 years ago, it was at $500. The town now has adopted it to $1,000. So a lot of people don't know that.
Right. So the best thing to do is
Call the office.
Call the office, but
Yeah.
this is a good guide, and there are some forms on there. So thank you, Lydia. Next slide, please. The abatement information. This is a nice little slide here. The reasons for an abatement. There's overvaluation. The assessed value is too high compared to the actual real estate market. You can abate the disproportionate assessment, which is property is assessed in excess of assessments of comparable properties. Improper classification. For instance, a property is classified as commercial land when it is actually residential land, or it could be vice versa. Statutory exemption, the property exempt from taxation based on use. And who may apply? As a rule, an application may be filed by the person to whom the tax has been assessed, or by the person acquiring title after January 1st of that year. The abatement procedure is enforced only after the fiscal year third quarter actual tax bill has been issued. And the application forms are available in the assessing department. The application for abatement must be filed received by the assessors after the actual tax bill is issued and no later than 30 days after the date on which the FYI year, which would be 2009, the third quarter tax bill was mailed, or by February 3rd, which would be 2010, whichever is the
Or
rate.
it could fall on a different day, right?
What was that?
Thumb rule, February 1st.
Yeah.
February
yeah.
1st? Okay. And down there, and in bold, it says these deadlines cannot be extended or waived by the assessors for any reason. If your application is not timely filed, you lose all rights to an abatement, and the assessors cannot, by law, grant you one. To be timely filed, your application must be received by the assessors, prepaid to the proper address of the assessors, or on or before the filing deadline, as shown by postmark made by the United States Postal Service. Next slide, please. The payment of the tax. To avoid interest charges, the full tax due must be paid by the due date, February 1st of 2010. Interest will be due if the payment is received late. If the total tax on real estate is over $3,000, the tax must be paid by the date due in order to maintain the right to appeal an abatement decision by the assessing department. Appeals are made to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Appellate Tax Board, an independent administrative board under the direction of Commonwealth. Failure to pay in a timely manner jeopardizes your right to appeal. Just one thing I want to bring up. How often do we, how many, I should say, abatements do we get on a regular year?
This past year, I believe it was not even 300.
Not even 300. Now, was that fairly high, or?
It was fairly high.
That's
yeah.
fairly high. So what's the average of abatements?
About 100.
About 100. And how many?
Well, because the economy, the way the economy was,
Yep.
and people constantly calling, why is my value assessed way more than, I can sell it for?
Right.
You got to pull those people aside. For number one, calm them down, explain to them as best as you can how it works. And we're expecting more this year because, people losing their jobs, people can't pay the tax bill on time,
Right.
that sort of deal.
Right.
But we're going to see more, and plus the tax rate, the way it is,
Right.
the way it's going to become.
Okay. So yeah, we're hopefully people out there are going to pay attention to this and how I go about it. Additional information request. The assessing department is authorized by law to request information that is necessary if we are to properly determine the fair cash value of the property. To preserve your right to appeal an abatement decision, you must provide all information requested by the assessing department. Failure to respond to an information request within 30 days of the date of the request will result in a denial of the application and may bar an appeal to the appellate tax board. And right under there, you see the action by the assessors department. There's the notice of approval, that if the assessing department will abate the amount specified in the notice. If the tax has been paid, the taxpayer will be reimbursed by the city, Seekonk. Notice of denial, no abatement will be granted. A denial would be issued in cases where the assessing department has made a decision based on the merits of the abatement application, and a notice of deemed denial, An application is deemed denied if the department has not made a decision on an abatement application within 3 months of its filing date. And as we were saying, appeal to the appellate tax board. If you are dissatisfied with the decision of the assessing department, you may file an appeal to the appellate tax board. It is located at 399 Washington Street, Boston, Mass. And the telephone number is there, but I'm sure, and Theo and you have given people the address and tell them how to get in touch with the appellate tax board.
There is also a filing fee.
It's a filing fee, yes?
There is a filing fee.
And what is that now?
It's $100 up to $500,000, I believe.
Okay.
Unless they've increased that also, I'm
Okay,
not sure.
so it's not for free. Okay. Next slide, please. Karen, is this you?
Yep, motor vehicle
Okay.
excise, abatements. Valuation, a vehicle's excise valuation is based on the manufacturer's list price and the vehicle's year of the manufacture. It's not what you paid for the car, it's what the manufacturer's price was when it was new. Various percentages of the manufacturer's list price are applied as follows. In the year preceding the designated year of manufacture, 50%. In the year of the manufacturer, 90%. In the second year, it's 60. in the third year 40, in the fourth year 25, in the fifth and succeeding years it's 10%, and it won't change. Calculating the excise, once the value of the vehicle is determined, an excise at the rate of $25 per thousand is assessed. Excises are assessed annually on a calendar year basis by the assessors of the municipality in which the vehicle is primarily garaged. If a motor vehicle is registered after January 31st, it is taxed for the period extending from the first day of the month in which it is registered to the end of that calendar year. For example, if a vehicle is registered on April 30th, it will be taxable as of April 1st for the 9 remaining months of the year, April through December, and the excise due, therefore, will be 9 out of 12 of the full excise. In no event shall any excise be assessed for less than $5, nor shall any abatement or refund under Section 1 reduce an excise to less than $5. Next slide, please. A partial abatement of the excise and refund for an excise already paid is appropriate in any of the following circumstances. If a person transfers a vehicle from one state to another, proof of registration for that state, and the cancellation of the registration in Massachusetts will need to see that. You could get an abatement if your vehicle was overvalued, or a sale of a vehicle with proof of cancellation of registration, or if existing plates are transferred to a new vehicle registration, subsequent registration of a new vehicle in the same year by the same person, or notification to the police within 48 hours of discovery of the theft of the vehicle. In the case of a stolen vehicle, subsequently recovered and registered in the same calendar year by the same owner, a proportionate part of the excise is paid for those months of the year remaining. Anyone making a false report of theft is subject to a penalty of no more than 3 times the excise due on the vehicle for the entire year, recoverable in a civil action brought by the city or town which the excise was payable.
I'm sorry. I had a question. How many abatements have you seen in the vehicle excise?
We get quite a few. It depends on the time of the year, too. And
Really?
the big time is January, February, when the full year comes out. And then we'll get, like, every 3 months or so, we'll get new ones, people that register their cars after that time.
Okay. So
There's quite a few.
Yeah, there's quite a few. It's not as much as the...
We normally get about 7 commitments a year.
Really?
January,
Actually, we had
January.
11 this
That's
year
another
already, yeah.
thing. The registry of motor vehicles is who sets the values on these vehicles.
Right.
They'll send us a tape down from the registry. We'll get the bills created. We'll send them out. And the majority, I'd say like 80% of all vehicles are all on that first commitment. You know, let's say you purchased a car in July, middle of the year. People think, well, I'll get away with not paying the bill for the rest of the year. No, that commitment comes in sometime in
Paid
October.
from July.
You know, a lot of people think, well, you know, maybe if I put it away, you know.
Yeah. Okay, very good. Next slide.
These are some facts on questions. What is a motor vehicle excise tax? It's just a tax that if you own a vehicle, you have the privilege of registering and driving a car that you pay. Everyone must pay. And the rate, like I said, is $25 per thousand. And the registry of motor vehicles sets the value of the vehicles. We have nothing to do with that. How's the tax determined?
A lot of good stuff.
A lot of good questions, but can I get an abatement? You should come in and ask. Certainly, you know, you're entitled. If you're entitled to one, you get one. But we need to see the proper paperwork. We need to have proof of what happened to the other vehicle, because you could still have the vehicle, take the plates off. You still have to pay the excise on it. It's personal property.
Okay.
So, next slide.
Okay, this is where I come in. There's another area which is called Other Useful Links. And as you can see, click right there for more links. Next slide, please. And right here, you'll see the government sites, the DOR, the Division of Local Services, the Mass GIS, the Registry of Deeds, Public Record Law, FAQ, and associations, the Massachusetts Association of Assessing Officers and the Massachusetts Collectors and Treasurers Association. Next slide, please. as we talked about earlier, there is a link for online tax payments also at Seekonk info /town. So they can, those links are on 2 different areas. That would probably be the quickest and the most efficient. The Seekonk assessors are always available to help you with questions you may have. Call them at 508-336-2980. Next slide, please. And I guess we'll wrap this up. Our next show, which we'll hopefully be doing sometime next month, will be about Proposition 2.5, the levy limit, the levy ceiling, and new growth. I'd like to thank Karen and Lydia for spending their time with me today. I know they have a busy schedule. Thank you very much, girls. Their hard work results in the high quality of service that the assessor's office brings to the residents and property owners of the town. With that, the Seekonk Assessor's Office and Board wishes all a happy Hanukkah, a Karen Kwanzaa, a terrific Tet, a solid Ramadan, and of course, a Merry Christmas. See you all next time. Thank you.